He was accused of juror intimidation by this judge yesterday. I thought this was rather extraordinary. We pulled a soundbite of the New York Times' Suzanne Craig on MSNBC explaining what happened. Take a listen. It's Top 5.
The juror number one, had taken a video at a distance of what looked like a celebration in the streets of New York for when Trump lost in 2020. I think that was it. And it showed that she was biased, and there was some language that suggested that she might have a bias. She said she happened to take the video. She thought it was a very New York moment, and she posted it. We didn't have the cameras on, so we didn't have a visual of Donald Trump at this point from the overflow room that I sit in. We have closed circuit TVs, but the judge there was some back and forth between the lawyers, and then the judge actually admonished the former president because he was huffing and puffing and gesturing towards the juror. He said the judge said it was completely inappropriate, and he said, "I won't tolerate it. I won't have any jurors intimidated in this courtroom." And his lawyer had to go speak to him. So that was like a moment.
Jonna, what do you make of that exchange?
What I take away from the exchange is just how much I do not have respect for the judge presiding over this case. And maybe that's not a popular opinion, but, look, I've sat next to clients during jury selection. They have to talk to you. Sometimes they're too loud in any sort of trial situation. Sometimes they're not. This judge needs to get off Donald Trump's back, like, for God's sake. So I don't think it really was a moment that this reporter was talking about. It was just another way that this judge could wield some sort of weird power over Donald Trump in his court.
What's weird, Vinnie, is, so just to clarify, it appears that this woman trying to get on the jury, it was found that she had made 2 Facebook posts the day of the 2020 presidential election. And she had previously said she had no biases against Donald Trump. But the posts were of people celebrating the fact that he had lost. And she tried to say to the judge, the juror perspective, she just wanted to capture, quote, a New York City celebratory moment, likening the cheers to the nightly celebrations for healthcare workers during the COVID-19 pandemic. She was dismissed appropriately, but that's another instance of somebody, in my view, lying to get on the jury. And Trump, when she was being cross-examined all this, allegedly uttered something, who was 12 feet away from him. And the judge said to the Trump lawyer, your client was audibly uttering something. I don't know what he was uttering. So if you don't know what he was uttering, why are you accusing him of witness or juror intimidation?
Yeah, that's problematic. Now, part of our system of justice is that criminal defendants are supposed to participate in their own defense. It's their life that is on the line, their liberty that's on the line here. So that's why they're there, and that's why they have to be there. Now, the level of how loud your voice can be when speaking with your attorney, I don't know. If he says something directly to a juror, I get it. But if you're communicating with your attorney, I don't know. I'd have to see it, and we need to put cameras in the courtroom and broadcast it. But the state
at least
of New
audio,
York,
Vinnie, right? At least audio.
No, video and audio. New York used to permit cameras. The law, there was a sunset provision, and then they never allowed them back in. To me, it's about transparency. And in a case like this is the exact case that needs to be broadcast because of the nature of it. You're getting secondhand reports about it, number one, so no one can actually see it. Number two, you want to trust the system. How do you trust a system that hides what's happening?
Yeah.
Right. So
it's so true.
I don't understand that. That to me, that's another big problem in all of this.
Okay, one other thing on the Trump case. So Trump, at the end of the day, keeps coming out and making statements, Jonna. And yesterday he made a statement about, he was trying to say, how is this turning into I doctored my corporate books? What he did was he or his team paid Michael Cohen the $130,000 that Cohen had paid to Stormy Daniels to get her to not speak out about their alleged affair. And it was marked down on the books as a legal expense. Trump was, or someone on his behalf, paying this to a lawyer who represented Trump. Now, one of the questions in the case is who actually authorized the payment and made the payment, and then who wrote down in the books that it was a legal expense. Because the odds are it wasn't Donald Trump who wrote that down, in the books. Well, he made this comment after court yesterday that now has people saying, oh my God, it was an admission. He tried to fix it, but he admitted it. Take a listen and saw it. 3.
I was paying a lawyer and marked it down as a legal expense. Some accountant, I didn't know, marked it down as a legal expense. That's exactly what it was. And you've been indicted over that?
Okay, so he started to say that I was paying a lawyer and we marked it down as a legal expense. And then he corrects himself, an accountant did. And now there's speculation that'll be played in court to prove to this jury, and they don't have this proof otherwise, that Trump knew and authorized and maybe even participated in how it would be recorded.
Any criminal defense attorney will tell you, just don't say anything, right? Ever, right? But you're not going to be able to stop him. Now, the question is, are they going to play? They have to play the whole thing, I would think, the whole thing. So if the prosecution puts this in, are they also allowing him to testify without being cross-examined? It's a double-edged sword. As much as they want to say, oh, here he is making an admission, well, he's also got the complete explanation, which means now he can give his side of what happened here without getting on the witness stand and without being cross-examined. So I would be a little less anxious as the prosecution to necessarily put that in. I mean, I always say this, and it was in the George Zimmerman case was the same thing, where the prosecution in that case put in all of George Zimmerman's statements. And they were self-serving, but they believed that, oh, the jury's not going to buy it. But he never had to testify because his whole story through the videos brought in by the prosecution told his story. So as a prosecutor, I would not put that in. But if they do, we'll see what happens.
Very good point. And plus, like when you speak colloquially, sometimes you say, I or we, and you don't necessarily mean yourself. It's like I'll say, oh, I have this soundbite. It's like, well, who gave me the soundbite? My team. I didn't cut the soundbite. I don't mean that I personally cut the soundbite. As we approach another critical election, many Americans are concerned. Recent studies show that an astonishing 56% of citizens report feelings of anxiety or dread about the upcoming election. But I want to tell you about AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. AMAC is more than a senior org. During these challenging times, they fight for common sense and for the U.S. to return to traditional American values. Visit amac.us/Megyn today to get an exclusive election year special, a 4-year AMAC membership for just $30. As an AMAC member, you not only enjoy money-saving benefits, but also the AMAC magazine, free Social Security and Medicare advice, a trusted voice in Washington, and a community of like-minded patriots. Take advantage of this election year special, 4 years for $30, and be part of the solution. Join now at amac.us/Megyn. That's amac.us/MEGYN. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.